Thank you. Actually, can I just say that I was offered much more high-tech stuff, but I used to be a bingo caller. So now I like to actually use a handheld microphone. Weird, I know. But thank you so much for inviting me. Fantastic introduction. I hope I live up to it. But I actually don't do a lot of public speaking, and I only accept to speak about things that I really think matter. Things that I care about, things that I always say to myself, could I stand on that stage and speak about something because I know it so well and care about it so much? Could I do it now? And when I was asked by Bupa to be part of this, it just brought two things I absolutely loved together. Not surprisingly, I love business, and much more important, I love the startup end of businesses, because it's what drives real change in the world. And then it brings that together with my other big passion in life, which is, of course, about sustainability. And the good news is that when I first started caring about sustainability, which was a long time ago, I actually did my business thesis. I went to business college, and I did my business thesis, or project, it wasn't really a thesis, on sustainability. It was on climate change, and that was 45 years ago. So I've been caring about this for a very, very long time. But for a very long time, although business used the word sustainable, what it actually meant is this business sustainable? Not actually, what impact are we having on the world outside? And what I've watched over the years, and particularly as I've been standing in Dragon's Den, is that I've watched that change dramatically, and particularly so in the last 5 or 6 years. Every single business that comes to talk to me, every business that comes to pitch to me, every single business that comes into Dragon's Den talks about their impact that they're having on the planet. Now, it's not always good news, but at least they're talking about it, and that's how things get to change. You start conversations, and that's how things get onto the agenda of business, and that's how things get to change. So thank you very much for inviting me here today to talk to you all. I've had a chance to have a look around, and can I just say something? I absolutely love that we call the Bupa. It's very true that I didn't know whether I was talking to members of the Bupa teams or whether or not I was talking to the founders, and that is very true. And I love that we call you squads. Doesn't that sound powerful and game-changing? That's absolutely brilliant. So I'm pleased to say that the thing that I love in business has now come together, that the thing I love in life, because I've always said that we are nature. We are part of all of this big biosphere that we have, and we cannot keep battering it. It's incredibly generous and very kind to us. We keep battering nature on the head. We chuck particulates into the air. We don't bother about the soil. We just keep pulling stuff out, chucking plastic and pollution into the water, and nature keeps going, oh, okay, I'll clear that up for you. But nature is struggling. And we're doing that to it. And we're talking about it as if it's separate, but it's not. You know the industry you live in. A healthy planet absolutely does mean healthier people. And it's a wonderful thing to see it recognized by Bupa, how important this is. But the other thing that I love is that this thing that I used to care about separately has become a real business issue. And you must feel this. When I walk out and about, and I do talk to a lot of businesses about nature, about biodiversity, about net zero, and the fact you can't have net zero without caring about the rest of it. When I talk to those businesses, a lot of businesses really, really want to do something, but they're not sure how to do it or what to do. And a lot of these are big organizations. Some of you may have heard that I did a podcast called The Big Green Money Show. And The Big Green Money Show was brought about because I talked to businesses, some huge organizations that were actually doing some fantastic stuff. Terrified to talk about it, because when you talk about what you're doing, somebody will stick their head up and say, yeah, but you're not doing that, are you? And what I wanted to do with the Big Green Money Show is unpeel what was being done, also what wasn't being done, offer a safe space to discuss what wasn't being done and could be done better, and then also speak to the SMEs and the consumers at the end of the day. And the reason that I was so attracted to being here today is that I began to realize that the big corporations have a will. They really want to get onto this. They really understand that this needs to be sorted. They have a will, but they have another purpose. You know, they're actually running big organizations. And when I spoke to the startups, it just struck me that this is really where the innovation happens. People founding and starting businesses on the fundamental basis of, yes, it's got to be a business. Yes, it's got to make money, otherwise it doesn't survive. But I want to do the right thing. I want to have an impact. I want to positively change the way the world is dealing with the particular issue that I'm focusing on. And for me, it was a real eye-opening moment. I've always loved startups. You know, listen, guys, you're creative, innovative, you've got great energy, you're brave. You know, boy, you're brave at the moment. It's going to be pretty tough. You know, I love the startup end of businesses. But I really saw in that moment when I was doing the podcast the power of what you do, because you do many things. The first thing you do is bring issues onto an agenda to big organizations that are really busy doing their everyday job and their everyday stuff. You raise the issue. And once you've raised an issue, once people know about something, then they can really start caring about something. If you don't know about it, you don't care about it. So you raise the issue. This is a problem, and we think we've got a solution on this. So you force those organizations to pay attention. Then you use your amazing energy and your absolute single-mindedness to tackle, you know, that's the problem, that's the way we're going to solve it. And because you are 100% focusing on that, you can drive things much, much faster. You can drive change. You can be fleet of foot. When you get it wrong, and boy, do you get it wrong when you're in innovation. I'm sure all day, every day we make mistakes, but you're absolutely focused on it. And when you get it wrong, you can change it really, really quickly in a way that the bigger an organization gets, however much they want to, it just takes a little bit longer. But your speed helps everybody speed up their work pace. You know, it brings it onto the agenda. It gets faster and faster and faster. And before you know it, you know, this new thing that you thought of in your front room starts becoming embedded in a culture and embedded in an organization. And that is incredibly powerful. Sometimes, and I was saying this earlier, sometimes I think small businesses or SMEs or startups don't know the power that they hold. They don't know how much influence they have on big businesses. But it is your fleet of foot, it's your voice, it's your doggedness, because you definitely need that. It's your doggedness that absolutely keeps it on the agenda. So I've had a walk around the exhibition this morning, and I've been pretty blown away. I'm blown away by two things. And I'm not paid to say this, by the way, but I'm blown away by Bupa's bravery to start this, because I have been in businesses with great intent, but they just haven't got the spare capacity to start something like this. You know, let's do it, but actually, you know, we're really busy doing other stuff, particularly when off the back of COVID, you know, when businesses have got other stuff to deal with, it can be easy to say, let's just carry on doing what we're doing. So I think it's a brave thing of Bupa to start this, because can you imagine? I mean, filtering 1,000 pitches. You know, how do you work out? I mean, obviously you all know because you're the best. You're in the room. You've won your place. But how do you filter that out? This is a big machine needed to do this. So it's fantastic, I think, that Bupa's actually recognised that and was brave enough to step into that space. But when I walk around and I see what you're all doing and the innovation that you've got, and sometimes it's not even brand new, but it's better, and that's all you ever need to be is better. It really encourages me to think this is maturing. You know, this is something that isn't just being talked about on the sidelines. This is something that is really maturing into mainstream. Now, I know that for a fact. I have never been busier. And by busy, I mean organizations wanting me to go and talk to them about how they can connect the dots in terms of their net zero targets, biodiversity, impact on nature. And actually, if you think about it, it's happened quite fast. It was very fast, I think, in the terms of, you know, of business lives. there isn't really a support industry around that. You know, I mean, this is a huge opportunity. I do see the whole sustainability piece as a huge opportunity. There isn't a support. There's a lack of skilled workforce. You know, a lot of people are coming to this now. They're not, you know, they don't have embedded in them, you know, that sustainability teams have long-term been working in sustainability. So, you know, they're really concerned about how do we do this. So what it has signaled to me is that there is instead of this sustainability piece being this sort of side piece that's a nice to have, this is something that businesses are really, really trying to grapple with and trying to sort. And you've got the answers. And this is the joy of something like today. And I go back to talking about, I'm not sure sometimes that startups understand what they've got. Because if you correctly identified something that's a problem, and you have correctly identified the solution, why wouldn't big organizations say, let's not go through the pain. Let's work with these guys. These guys have done it. You know, they've actually got that solution for me. So this whole connection piece, I think, is, and today, and hopefully you're going to make some great connections, it is a really, really important piece for you. I suspect also, you know, we talk about, yes, you've got to this stage, but of course it can be quite, I personally think that the startup stage is it can be the exciting bit. It's obvious, you know, great idea, actually seeing it action, having support from Bupa to get it here. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And now you're going to be staring over the abyss and thinking, we're going to have to fund this now. What's our next step? I suspect a lot of you are in that. But you must carry that thought around in your head. We have got the solution for somebody. So when you're identifying who that somebody is, don't just look for investors. Don't just look for partners. Always have your top 3 wish list of who are my dream? Who are the people that I really, really want to invest? And make contact with them. Because if you're right, you have something that they really, really want. And when you go and talk to them, if they look enthusiastic and joyous and nodding away, I mean properly nodding, not the nod that a lot of investors do and then give you a letter about a week later and say, it was lovely, but not for us at this moment. Proper enthusiastic nodding, then you're on a winner. If they give you the polite, don't waste any more time. And if they look at you as if you're completely barking mad and in a very puzzled fashion, then you walk away. Because what you need is enthusiastic partners. You know, it's if you ever see me in Dragon's Den, I will only ever invest in a business that I really feel I could care about, but much more important, I really feel like I could help. And that's the investor that you're looking for. It's not, by the way, don't all come up to me afterwards and... I can't believe I just said that. That was just an... But you do need to find your right investors. And I think that when people are at their edge and they're looking for funding, it can be very easy to take the first available. But if you are on the sustainable journey, and I mean the sustainable in the wider term, the business sustainability, you're in it for the long term, you want to make a big difference to the planet, you need to find yourself a sustainable partner. And these sustainable partners only work when you actually want to work together. You know, you enjoy it. You've got the same common goal. Do excuse me. I've actually got some strepsils in my backpack, back of my pants. I didn't quite know what I was going to say then. I've got a slightly London frog in my throat, so do forgive me if I've had to cough a little time. So you're at a really exciting time of your journeys. You know, I love this bit, and actually, I really only now invest in startups. I've got some long-term investments in sort of what I would say the more sort of grown-up or mature businesses, but I now really am excited about the stuff that you do. You are the ones that are going to change the world. You're the ones who are driving the agenda. I get asked all of the time by people, do you think we can do this? Because let's face it, we have a big, big task. We have been battering our planet for so long and so hard that it is finally telling us, I can't handle this anymore. And unfortunately, We don't have that long to sort it out. And I bet you there's days when I get overwhelmed. So there must be days when you get overwhelmed with this. And there are days when I think, honestly, can we do it? And then I remember, human beings are amazing. You're amazing. Look at what we've done. Look at what we can do when we put our minds to it. Of course we can sort this. You can sort this. You're already on your way to doing it. Of course you can do it. My question isn't whether or not we can do it. It's whether or not we have the will to do it and whether or not we're going to do it in time. And for me, when I get those moments where I think, oh, this is completely overwhelming, I remember the communities, the businesses, the SMEs, the yous, I will remember today, and I will remember, yes, there are enough people who genuinely care about this, who are engaged in actually sorting these issues, and I can tell you that that little black cloud that sometimes, very rarely, because I am an optimist, but very rarely sits over my head, and I think it's too much. I'll think of you guys, and I think, it's not. We can do this. You can do this.